Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making the traditional Japanese egg dish, the Tamagoyaki. As long as you're not vegan, you probably love eggs, just like everybody else. In the West, egg seems like a breakfast-only kind of ingredient, but back home in Asia, we use egg in all kinds of different meals. So today we're making a traditional Japanese egg dish, which is the Tamagoyaki. They use this as a dessert, sometimes breakfast, and they put it in their lunchbox. You probably also seen this on top of a sushi, or it could be a side dish in Japanese restaurant. Check it out. Hi new friends, this is Erica right here. I'm a Taiwanese citizen currently living in America. Cooking and traveling is my passion, so I'm here to share with you my favorite Asian recipe. On top of that, all my videos cover a little food knowledge and the history background of the dish, as well as a Chinese lesson at the end of the video to teach you how to pronounce the dish that I'm making today in Chinese. So if that interests you, please subscribe and keep watching. If you like Japanese cuisine, especially sushi, you might have seen this Tamagoyaki before. It looks like this. In the US, most people call this dish the Japanese omelette, but me personally, I call them the pillow eggy. Because of the texture and the look of this egg dish, it literally look like a yellow pillow. So first, let's talk about the history background of this cute Tamagoyaki. The origin of Tamagoyaki could be traced back to the 17th century. It was documented in the old cookbook called 料理物语, and they call the Tamagoyaki 玉子软绵绵, which means soft egg. But in fact, back in the day in Japan, eggs were not eaten much until the Edo period. The reason why eggs were not eaten as often in Japanese culture back in the day is because during the 7th century, the Emperor Tenmu promulgated that killing and eating most meat were illegal, which includes cow, horse, dog, chicken, and monkey. They believe that cow and horses are meant to be used for farming, and dogs should be used as a guard of housing. Monkey are literally humans' relative, and chicken is the world's holy biological clock that should be worshipped but not eaten. So deep in Japanese people's mind back in the day, they literally think that eating meat will lead to loss of rice harvest and even drought and flood. Not sure where the flood come from. So for the sake of crops, Japanese people started calling the rice the holy rice and meat the dirty meat before the Edo period. Plus that Japan became a Buddhism country around 14th century, the Japanese was strongly influenced and restricted by the Buddhism and forbid the consumption of the animal products. Only until 17th century, the businessmen from Portuguese and other Western countries came to Japan and bring their dessert that is made from raw egg as their ingredients, such as honey cake and egg cakes. The Japanese slowly realized the deliciousness of the eggs and they were attracted to egg dish since then. Only in Japan at that time, the production of eggs was really scarce, so the price was really high. Being able to enjoy an egg dish occasionally, such as Tamagoyaki, is really a symbol of richness. And nowadays, eggs have become better and cheaper, and that's why the cute Tamagoyaki dish became the favorite of Japanese home cooking. Tamagoyaki are just the general name of this soft egg dish, but there's so many different type of recipe online. If you talk to multiple different Japanese moms, they will give you so many different type of recipe that they use at home. But if we're talking about a traditional Tamagoyaki, there's two different type of category. The juicy Tamagoyaki and the thick Tamagoyaki. This is what I translated. It's in Japanese, but this is what it means. There's so many different recipes for these two types of Tamagoyaki, but the main difference between these two types of Tamagoyaki is that the juicy one will include some broth on it, so it will become more juicy and watery. And the thick one is the one that you commonly see in the restaurant side dish or on top of the sushi. It's a little drier, but it's still very spongy and soft. Like I said earlier, all moms have their favorite recipe for Tamagoyaki, and same as me, my current favorite Tamagoyaki dish is actually the egg tofu Tamagoyaki, which probably fit a little bit better to the thick Tamagoyaki category because of this texture is a little bit more firm. This might not be the most traditional Tamagoyaki recipe, but it is really tasty. And this is good for beginner that if you don't have a Tamagoyaki pan back home, it looks like this. I believe all Japanese moms have it, but to me, this pot only can make Tamagoyaki and it's really small, so I don't want to invest into this pot. So today I'm going to teach you how to make this Tamagoyaki recipe from me using a normal pot at home. So without further ado, let's get into it. The ingredient we need today is all here. We need egg tofu, 3 eggs, some starch, oil, salt, mirin, soy sauce, and rice wine. Normally people like to use sake in Japanese dish, but I always use rice wine instead. You can choose whatever you want. I brought my egg tofu in the Asian market. If you can't get it where you live, you can also use the normal silken tofu or the extra soft tofu as well. But the bean taste will be a little bit stronger if you use the normal tofu, so I'll add a little bit more soy sauce than my recipe. First, we need to smoosh the egg tofu and mix it with the eggs. In my experience, if you want to make the beautiful look of tamagoyaki, the best way to do it is to filter it before you cook. This step can make sure that the egg tofu is 100% smashed and the kalza are filtered out of our paste. Fun fact, the kalza, the white gooey thing that hang onto the yolk, it is actually not the egg's umbilical cord. The kalza can be found on both sides of the yolk, and their main purpose is to hold the yolk at the center of the egg, like a little anchor. Sometimes I'll filter it twice. After you filter the egg tofu and the egg, add some salt into the paste and mix it well. Next step is to make the sauce. Mix in the rice wine, mirin, soy sauce, salt, and starch. And we're ready to cook! Sauce first or egg first is your choice. Pour the sauce mixture into the pan and turn on medium heat. Slowly heat up the sauce to its almost boiling point. Constantly mix the mixture until it's thickening up. Just like this. And now set it aside. Same pan, heat it up and add in some oil. And use a kitchen napkin to wipe off the extra oil. Wait till it heats up and turn the heat to low. Now, it's time to add in the little bit amount of the egg paste. We want the layer to be as thin as possible so we can have multiple layers. Rotate your pan to make the eggs cover the whole pan and wait till it turns solid. The time will really depend on your cookware, but it takes me around 1 minute. Now, what you'll need to do is roll up the egg like this. I like to use a spatula and a chopstick, but you can use anything that you feel comfortable with flipping the egg and not breaking it. Just like making a crepe. This recipe is actually great for beginner because the egg tofu inside the paste is making it to be relatively thicker than a normal tamagoyaki. So it's a bit easier to flip. Now the first layer is rolled up. We have to gently push it back up to the top of the pan and oil up the pan again with the napkins earlier for the second layer of egg. Make sure every time you pour in different layer of egg, you have to oil up the pan first. Pour in a similar amount of egg paste as the first time and use your chopsticks or spatula or whatever you're using to lift up the pre-rolled egg as soon as you add in the paste, so that the bottom of the pre-rolled egg are not going to get burned, and also make sure that every layer of the eggs are properly stick together. This step is very important. If you don't do so, your tamagoyaki is gonna fall apart later. Keep repeating the exact same thing until you're out of egg paste and just simply roll them up together and take it out of the pan. I like to pre-cut my tamagoyaki for serving. It's just my preference because it looks better on the table since I'm not the only one eating it. But if you're just making this for yourself, you can eat it with a knife and then you don't need to pre-cut it. Put it on a plate, then pour the sauce on top and done! The egg tofu tamagoyaki is ready. Even though we didn't add any broth, but because of the egg tofu in it, which we mentioned in our old video because that the main content in tofu is literally just water, so it makes the tamagoyaki really soft and juicy. If you eat it hot, you can feel the moisture from the egg tofu and the pillow texture to the taste. Adding the sauce on top make it a more salty tamagoyaki version because most traditional tamagoyaki were added with sugar, so I preferred the salty version actually. If you want to see the traditional tamagoyaki recipe, leave a comment down below and I'll make it for you another time. The word of the day today is 鸡蛋豆腐玉子烧, the egg tofu tamagoyaki. The first word with 2 characters is 鸡蛋. 鸡蛋. The first tone and the fourth tone. 鸡蛋, which means eggs. And the second word with 2 characters is 豆腐. We learned it before. It's the fourth tone and the third tone. 豆腐, which means tofu. So the first 2 words combined together is the egg tofu. 鸡蛋豆腐. And the last word we're going to learn today is with 3 characters, 玉子烧. 玉子烧. It's the fourth tone, third tone, and first tone. 玉子烧, which is tamagoyaki. So let's combine everything together and practice it again. 鸡蛋豆腐玉子烧 Egg tofu tamagoyaki. Thank you for cooking with me today. Let me know if you like the recipe by giving this video a thumbs up. It's only going to take you a second, but it means a lot to me. I'll upload a video like this every Thursday, so remember to hit that bell and you'll never miss out. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!